Television has become the #1 way for this generation to consume content, and rightfully so, as there is seemingly a series or a network dedicated to any type of niche or broadcast interest. Fortunately for gamers, many shows as of late have either been given a video game adaptation or have been based off of a video game itself. And in today's list, we're going to take a look at some of the best shows based off of video games, and vice versa. With that being said, let's get right into the video. At number 9, we have Fallout. As excited as we are for this show, we had to put it last simply because we have yet to see a second of footage from this newly announced Amazon Prime show, which is set to release sometime in 2022. That date unfortunately could be getting pushed back, but we will have to wait and see. It's unclear right now as to which game will be the main inspiration for the show, but we can assure you either way that the show will be something amazing. Unless it is based off of Fallout Brotherhood of Steel or Fallout Shelter, the popular mobile game. Obviously, the show will likely begin with the very first Fallout game and advance from there, but we'll just have to wait and find out when this highly anticipated show finally premieres. Now, The Last of Us. Okay, we swear this is the last show that we haven't seen yet, but come on. How are we supposed to leave this show off the list about great shows that have video game adaptations? Plus, we have so much information about this show to share with you guys. The Last of Us is definitely in the conversation with a handful of other games for the title of Best PlayStation Game of All Time. This game is revolutionary and is going to break barriers yet again to HBO Max, hopefully in 2022. The show is set to star Pedro Pascal as Joel and Bella Ramsey as Ellie, as they embark on their quest to deliver Ellie to a group of extremists known as the Fireflies, in hopes of developing a cure for a deadly virus that's taken over the world. In this case, we know exactly where the show will start and what direction it plans on taking, but I'm certain we will be in for a few twists and turns that were not in the games once it comes time for this show to premiere. Up next, Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Before there were Disney Plus shows like The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett, there was the animated classic Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Although Star Wars as a franchise has hundreds of video games based on the movies, there are a few console and mobile games that are based around this classic TV show. If you're a fan of this space opera and you have yet to watch this show, please do so. Do not let the fact that it's animated rob you of amazing Star Wars content. Additionally, if you've seen the show, you've probably seen the video game adaptation of the show like Star Wars: The Clone Wars Lightsaber Duels. The show often saw many Jedi face off against all sorts of deadly lightsaber wielding opponents such as General Grievous, Asajj Ventress, Darth Maul, Count Dooku, and even Darth Sidious himself, thus spawning a video game in which the player got to choose which character from the series they'd like to play as, and then testing their lightsaber skills in a one-on-one battle. Although the game is relatively unknown, the series was just too good to not make this list. Next on our list, The Walking Dead. This show saw some of the highest highs only to eventually fall back down to earth following its viewership peak in season 4. The Walking Dead is a TV show based on a comic series of the same name, so it seems only fitting that there are video games that also share the same name as both the TV show and the comic series that predated them. The Walking Dead has many video game adaptations both on console and mobile platforms, although it's best to base solely on the comics and original characters and has nothing to do with the TV show. Telltale Game Studios created an episodic game in which players would be forced to make difficult decisions that would drastically affect the world around them. However, as previously mentioned, this game has none of the characters that exclusively debut in the show. Only original characters or characters that resemble their comic book counterpart rather than their TV show counterpart. The only console video game adaptation of the TV show is The Walking Dead Survival Instinct, which is a show that is centered around Daryl Dixon, one of the few popular characters that are exclusive to the TV show. The TV show at one point was the most watched show on TV, but has since fallen down to earth with only diehard fans continuing to see the show on through. It's not that the show's gotten bad, it had just gotten more drawn out and much slower than its first 3 seasons. But clearly it's good enough to keep millions glued to the TV every Sunday night when it premieres a new episode. At number 5, we have Sonic the Hedgehog. This lovable blue flash of light has been on the small screen more times than we can count. Sonic and his gang have had a plethora of shows make their runs on TV, all with varying amounts of success, with some being revered as classics and others being pulled off the air as quickly as they could due to their cringy nature. In the 90s, it seemed as though one could not even turn on their TV without seeing an advertisement or an actual snippet of the wisecracking hedgehog racing across their screen. Seriously, if you were not around during the 90s, I'm telling you, Sonic was everywhere, especially on the TV. But to be fair, where else would he belong if not in video games? A 22-minute show seems like the perfect spot for Sonic and his furry friends to pal around, whether it's to be giving safety advice or appearing as a cyberpunk show, or trying to be serious with a show like Sonic Boom. Charismatic Blur thrived on the small screen and has even proved recently that he can be a hit on the big screen too. Next up, Kirby, right back at you. If you've been a fan of the little pink ball since you first played as them in any incarnation of the Super Smash Bros. Series, but still have never heard of the show, we don't blame you. The show was short-lived with only 4 seasons that ran in the early 2000s, although its viewership was not huge. Its quality sure was. Fans who were lucky enough to watch this show could tell you that it was the first time the character went from being a silent blob to a relatable character. Finally, Kirby had a voice and a town and adventures of their own that allowed the character to be more than a blob who eats stuff. The show is hard to find now, but is a bonus feature to the classic Kirby Dream Collection that's available on the Nintendo Wii. If you own the Dream Collection but have never watched the show, please do yourself a favor and fall back in love with Kirby by watching their show. Sitting at number 3, League of Legends Arcane. To be honest, I did not expect much from this show after seeing it delayed time and time again. It seemed as though the hype was dying down along with my expectations. It seemed as though each time the show got delayed, I expected the quality to go down with it. But boy, was I wrong. This show has been a revelation, bridging the popular game into the mainstream. The show is centered around Jinx, who is one of the most popular champions from the game. Jinx also received a promotional skin in Fortnite in an effort to promote the character and the show even more. Although it is only 9 episodes, the show does an excellent job fleshing out an amazing story that any League fan would be proud of. If you've not yet watched the show, it's available on Netflix right now. Now we have The Witcher. Honestly, it's hard to talk about shows that are from video games without bringing this show up. The Witcher is the first to do what many could not, and that is to make an amazing live-action show based on a video game. The show is amazingly true to the game's roots and immerses you in the world as if you're playing the game. There's nothing bad that could be said about the show, as the acting, set pieces, and storyline all do the game justice. If you've not watched the show, please give your head a shake, then watch this series. And next up, Pokemon. Yeah, as if it was going to be anything else. The game that inspired the world to catch 'em all had to be at the top of this list. The card trading game turned video game turned TV show has seen an incredible amount of international success and is easily one of the most watched and most memorable TV shows with a video game adaptation of all time. The card game, video games, and TV show will go down in history and will hopefully not go away anytime soon. That's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching.